Hello Simmers, welcome aboard for another video. Today we're going to be flying from Charleston, South Carolina to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. IFR. It's a rather short flight, but I thought I would explain the IFR procedure. And our plane we're going to be flying in the Beechcraft Baron 58. It's a fun plane to fly, easy to operate. First thing, we pick our plane. We did that. Then we have to file a flight plan. It's hard to say. We want to choose an airport that we are departing from, and that would be Charleston International, South Carolina. And we want to depart from the small gate. We're small aircraft. Our destination airport is going to be Myrtle Beach, and I know it's KMYR because I fly into it pretty regular. Now, this is VFR and IFR, which is what we're going to do. So we select IFR for instrument flight rules, and it's a short flight, so we'll go low altitude airways and then click on find route. And we'll be flying at 3,000 feet. This shows the route we'll be going. And let's click on OK. And we're going to clear the weather just for flight sim's sake. And we're going to fly in daytime. Okay, that should be it. A couple of things we'll have to do that I'm going to go over before we actually start flying, as soon as the program loads. Okay, let me get my views adjusted. Okay, first thing we have to do is go through ATC, and we have to get our clearance. Have to request IFR clearance.
Charleston, clearance delivery, Beach, November 7-1 Foxtrot Sierra, IFR to Myrtle Beach, ready to copy. Beach, November 7-1 Foxtrot Sierra, cleared at Myrtle Beach Airport as filed. Fly runway heading, climb and maintain 3000. Departure frequency is 120.7, squawk 5444.
And we have to acknowledge.
Beach, November 7-1 Foxtrot Sierra, cleared at Myrtle Beach Airport as filed. Fly runway heading, climb and maintain 3000. Departure on 120.7, squawk 5444. Beach, 1 Foxtrot Sierra, readback correct. Contact ground on 121.9er.
Okay, now he gave us some important information there. We're going to be flying at 3,000 feet, so we can go ahead and set that in the autopilot, and we'll climb at a rate of about 700 feet per minute. And one other thing I'd like to go ahead and do while we are on the ground, you can do it in the air, but I prefer to do it on the ground. It's just whatever you prefer. Let's go to your map view, and you need to go to your destination airport, which ours is Myrtle Beach. Right there it is. And you see the view we're in. You see this green ribbon looking thing? That's actually how the glide slope is indicated on the map. That will very important part of instrument flying, and we'll get into that a little bit later on. But right now, what you need to do is right here, this airplane paper looking jet, click on that. That turned off the glide slope ribbon. And then just select a runway, it don't matter which one, and click on it. And you see this comes up. This is information you need to know. My advice is to print it out and keep it if it's an airport you fly into regularly. I have all mine printed out that I fly to because we're going to be needing the ILS frequencies, which is here, and the headings. Yeah, that will be some very important information that you have to do a IFR flight and landing. So, and let's turn the glide slope back on. Click OK there. Okay, let you see the plane we're going to be flying in. Like I said, this plane is a fun plane to fly. And let's go ahead and choose the ground and get our permission to taxi out to the runway.
Charleston, ground, Beach, November 7-1 Foxtrot Sierra with Sierra, ready to taxi IFR. Beach, November 7-1 Foxtrot Sierra, taxi to and hold short of runway 33 using taxiway Alpha Charlie. Contact tower on 126.0 when ready.
We need to acknowledge.
Taxi to and hold short runway 33 using taxiway Alpha Charlie. Beach 1 Foxtrot Sierra.
You need to remember the Alpha Charlie, the way to the runway 33, or either take choice number 3, turn on the progressive taxi, and that will point us toward the runway. As you can see, we have arrows there showing us which way to go, and that's generally the way I do it. So we're ready to taxi. Flaps in, so that's what we'll need when we take off. A lot of traffic in the airport today. I see several planes up in the air. The red letters you see, like right there, that indicates other planes. And we should fly right up the coastline to Myrtle Beach. Stop here on this side of the line there. Let's see. we need to tune back to the tower and get permission to take off.
Charleston Tower, Beach, November 7-1 Foxtrot Sierra, ready to go. Runway 33, IFR to Myrtle Beach. Beach, November 7-1 Foxtrot Sierra, cleared for takeoff. Runway 33. Cleared for takeoff. Runway 33, Beach, November 7-1 Foxtrot Sierra.
Okay, we're clear to go. And one thing I failed to mention, you need to set your heading for the runway heading when flying out, which we can do that when we get on the runway. Adjust that heading just a little bit. Okay, we're set to go. Let's go. Let's go flying. We'll rotate when we get to about 85 knots. And we are there. Let's fly. Landing gear up. We're making a good climb. So we'll go ahead and switch on the autopilot. Set our altitude and our heading. And let's bring the flaps in. In just a minute, they'll be giving us directions.
Beach 1 Foxtrot Sierra, contact Charleston departure on 120.7. 120.7 for Beach 1 Foxtrot Sierra.
I'll let you see the airport we just took off from. Let's contact Charleston departure.
Charleston departure, Beach, November 7-1 Foxtrot Sierra, just climbing through 1,000 for 3,000. Beach, November 7-1 Foxtrot Sierra, Charleston departure, roger, altimeter 2992. Beach 1 Foxtrot Sierra, turn right heading 060, resume on navigation, climb and maintain 3,000. Beach 1 Foxtrot Sierra, you're 73 miles southwest. Turn right heading 095, climb and maintain 3,000. Expect vectors ILS. Runway 36, approach.
Okay, so we need to turn right to a heading of 095.
Charleston approach. Mall November 16120 with you. Mall November 16120. Charleston approach. Roger. Altimeter 2992.
Gave us runway 36 for our landing runway at Myrtle Beach, which is the one I was hoping he would give us right here. We're 73 miles southwest. Expect vectors ILS runway 36. That means we'll be coming in over the ocean, which is what I was hoping. And earlier when I told you about the ILS frequencies.
Beach 1 Foxtrot Sierra, did you copy? Turn right heading 095, climb and maintain 3,000. Expect vectors ILS, runway 36, approach. Beach 1 Foxtrot Sierra.
speaking of earlier, that's where, right here is where they're going to come in handy. The ILS frequency for runway 36 at Myrtle Beach is 111.900. We need to put that into nav 1 right here. And of course you cannot enter it in the active frequency, you have to enter it in the inactive. And 111. And since we don't go up but to 2 digits here, it will be 111.90. 111.90. Okay, what we have to do is flip this to make the 111.90 the active frequency. There I did, and I'm going to turn nav 1 on here. And when we get closer, we will hear beeps like a Morse code. That means we are locked on.
Beach 1 Foxtrot Sierra, contact Charleston, departure on 135.8. 135.8, Beach 1 Foxtrot Sierra.
Okay, and also we've got to set our course. And for runway 36 at Myrtle Beach, it is 356. So we do that right here. Set right there, says so. Course 356. So we're good. Now all we have to do is set back and fly until we hear from air traffic control, and I need to contact Charleston departure.
Charleston departure, Beach November 71 Foxtrot Sierra, with you 3000. Beach November 71 Foxtrot Sierra, Charleston departure, roger, altimeter 29902. Beach 1 Foxtrot Sierra, turn left heading 065.
Okay,
Turn
make
left
a left
heading
turn.
065. Beach 1 Foxtrot Sierra.
065.
Juliet, contact Myrtle Beach approach on 127.4. Going to 127.4, Beach 44 Juliet.
Did you see the plane we're flying? These planes, you have two views. You have the actual cockpit view, which is what we're in now. Then you also have this view, this view I use mainly when I'm in the jets, because you can see the dashboard a little bit better and your controls and whatnot. So that's the difference in that. You can fly in this mode if you want to, but I always like to go in that one. Let's do an outside flyby.
Contact Myrtle Beach approach on 127.4.
Let you see about how fast
going to 127.4, Mooney 4908.
This little plane will move on. Just a second, I'll tell you how many knots we're flying. Right now we're about 180, well, about 190. Might as well say 190. And let me ask Google how much that is mile per hour. 190 knots is how many miles per hour?
190 knots equals 218.648 miles per hour.
So I guess you heard that, 218 miles an hour. That's the speed we're flying at. But just like a car, you don't want to go down the highway on a trip the whole time with the gas mashed to the floor. And you don't want to do it Atlantic Ocean you see off to the right there. Trust me when I say the waters are not that blue. I wish they were. Excuse me.
Beach 1 Foxtrot Sierra, contact Myrtle Beach approach on 127.4.
Okay, we're going to have to contact Myrtle Beach.
Going to 127.4, Beach 1 Foxtrot Sierra. Myrtle Beach approach, Beach November 7-1 Foxtrot Sierra, with you. Beach 10 to go. Contact Charleston approach on 135.8. Beach November 7-1 Foxtrot Sierra, Myrtle Beach approach, roger. Altimeter 2992. 135.8 for Beach 10 Echo.
Think about it, when you have it on autopilot, the plane flies itself. The only thing I'm controlling is the speed, and whenever they have us to make a turn, I put in the new heading, and it does the rest. Now in the real world, on a day like today, weather this good, you would not do an IFR flight in a plane like this. This is just for educational purposes. And it's my understanding that all commercial flights inside the United States are required to do IFR flights anytime they're hauling passengers.
Beach 1 Foxtrot Sierra, traffic is 6 o'clock, 4 miles at 3,500. Mall M7, report them in sight.
That plane, I said 6 o'clock, so that would be
Myrtle Beach approach, Mall November 37469 with you, 3,500.
Mall November 37469, Myrtle Beach approach, roger. Altimeter 2992.
Oops, sorry, hit the wrong button.
469er, traffic is 1 o'clock, 4 miles at 3,000. Beach Baron, report them in sight.
Mall 469er, have the Beach Baron in sight.
Beach 1 Foxtrot Sierra, traffic in sight.
Like I said, this is a fun plane to fly. I enjoy flying this one. I really enjoy them all. The jets, the props. My next video will probably be another jet flight. I was thinking about maybe the 737. And then we'll get one in the 747. I may do one in the 737 or the Bombardier, the smaller jet. If you have a preference, leave it in the comments on this video. You got to remember, you see mainly trees and a few roads, some power lines. That's because this is a flight simulator and you want to fly. It's not a car simulator or a ground simulator. So every building and every house is not going to be on there. Now when you fly around New York, Washington DC, it uses real world scenery and it is quite populated. I'll do a flight of one of those one day to show you. service there, but that's not our airport.
Departure, orbit 5215, at 800, climbing 14,000.
Orbit 5215, Myrtle Beach departure, roger, altimeter 29902. Orbit 5215, turn left heading 290, resume on navigation, climb and maintain 14,000.
Turn left heading 290, resume on navigation, climb and maintain 14,000. Orbit 5215.
Just a second, we're going to be out over the Atlantic.
Orbit 5215, turn left heading 260.
Turn left heading 260, orbit 5215.
Right here on the GPS is Myrtle Beach Airport. We're starting to come into sight. Okay, and that beeping you hear, earlier when I set the ILS frequency here, that means we're picking it up. Another way to confirm that is right here. If you'll watch this arrow, when I activate it again, you're going to see that arrow change. There it
Myrtle
goes.
Beach approach, orbit 2464 is out of 9,100.
So that means basically that we are
Beach
picking up the
44
ILS
Juliet,
frequency
turn left heading
from the
070.
airport.
Orbit 2464, Myrtle Beach approach, roger, altimeter 29092.
And since I know we are, I'm going to go ahead and turn the tone off. That way we don't have
Turn left
to
heading
hear the
070.
beeping
Beach 44
the whole
Juliet.
time.
Orbit 5215, contact Jacksonville Center on 128.7.
128.7, orbit 5215.
triangles here. When we break that boundary, our plane will be picking up the ILS frequency, which it already is. But right there, it will actually take control of the plane, and it will take it straight to the runway. And he'll have us to reduce our altitude to 1,600 feet any time now, because that's the height we have to be at to intercept this glide slope here. And that will actually just take us into the runway and hopefully right to the center line of the runway. Slow down to about 160 knots. And this white triangle here, that's the speed I have to be at to put in my first degree of flaps. We'll put them in at any speed higher than that. Then I can put the second degree in anywhere in
Beach 1 Foxtrot Sierra, you are 16 miles south, turn left, heading 025, descend and maintain 1,600, cleared ILS, runway 36, approach, maintain 1,600 until established on the localizer. Contact Myrtle Beach Tower on 128.45.
Like I said earlier, we have to come down
Kenmore
to
203, contact Myrtle Beach approach on 119.2. Going to 119.2, Kenmore 203. Turn left, heading 025, descend and maintain 1,600, cleared ILS, runway 36, approach, maintain 1,600 until established. Tower on 128.45, Beach 1
As you
Foxtrot
can see,
Sierra.
we're getting close to those triangles. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and activate our approach. And in just a minute, when we grab onto that glide slope, you will see the heading indicator here turn off. And from that moment on, I really will not be flying the plane, other than the speed and putting the flaps in. And you can see when that's going to happen if you want to. Here, these yellow marks, they will start coming down. Okay, the heading light just went off, so we're there. In just a second, when we grab onto the glide slope, you'll see these yellow marks start coming down. And then when they get right here, even with the horizon, that means we're locked onto the glide slope, just as we should be.
Myrtle Beach Tower, Beach, November 7-1 Foxtrot Sierra is 10 miles south, inbound ILS, runway 36, approach. Beach, November 7-1 Foxtrot Sierra, Myrtle Beach Tower, make straight in, runway 36, altimeter 29902. Make straight in, runway 36, Beach 1 Foxtrot Sierra.
And you can see the runway there in front of us. We're still several miles out, but I'm going to go ahead and start slowing the plane down. In just a minute, we'll be getting our final clearance to land. And I'm going to go ahead and put in our first degree of flaps. Let's go ahead and come out and land again. Oh, that go to this view so you can see the gear coming out. Go ahead and put in the second degree of flaps.
Beach 1 Foxtrot Sierra, cleared to land, runway 36.
Okay, he just cleared us to land.
Cleared to land, runway 36. Beach 1 Foxtrot Sierra.
And we just intercepted the glide slope. Our altitude indicator went off. So our altitude is going to start lowering on its own. I'm not doing that. The ILS is taking us straight to the runway. There's a transmitter there in the runway and the plane locks onto it. And that's how that works. Everything's looking good. We're lined up here. Everything's almost in a perfect line. And it probably will be by the time we get to the runway. And you see the pappy lights there? What we want is 2 white and 2 red.
Myrtle Beach Tower,
Which is what we got. That means we're just at the right height.
Ready for takeoff. North departure.
Everything is
Cessna,
going
November
good.
87471, hold short, runway 36. Traffic is Beach Baron on final. Hold short, runway 36. Cessna 471.
As you just heard, he's holding that Cessna short. He's wanting to take off, but he's holding him there until we land. Because he has already cleared us to land. And you'll probably see him setting there when we get closer to the runway. And once we get to the runway, I will disengage the autopilot and I will actually land the plane myself. And I like to do my approach with full flaps out in this plane at about 110 knots, which is what we're at now. Disengage the autopilot. There's that Cessna. And want to flare just a little. Okay, that was a good landing. We can bring our flaps up.
Foxtrot Sierra, turn next taxiway. Beach 1 Foxtrot Sierra, contact ground on 120.3. Cessna, November 87471, cleared for takeoff. Runway 36, departure to the north approved. Going to 120.3, Beach 1 Foxtrot Sierra.
Yeah, I'm not going to actually taxi and park the plane because I always like to review my landings. So let's take a look. There we are. This is the tower view. Nice approach. was nice. Good landing. Okay, folks, that's basically it. I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you learned something about IFR. If you have any questions, put them in the comments below. I'll try to answer your questions, and give me some suggestions for future videos, and I would appreciate it. Thanks for flying with me, guys. Catch you next time.
Pacifica 5158, hold short, runway 36. Traffic is Cessna Skyhawk on the runway.